What if I told you the key to surviving a crisis isn't in a bunker? It's in a $5 box at your local flea market. And here's why it matters. Stick around because in the next few minutes, you'll discover 21 hidden survival items most people walk right past and how they could save your life when SHTF. Hey everyone! I spent the last 2 weeks visiting flea markets across the US and Canada and dug through piles of junk most sellers didn't even understand. I also studied emergency preparedness reports from FEMA, ready.gov, and long term prepper case studies. What I found? Most people are prepping wrong and overspending by thousands. In this video, I'm revealing 21 real survival items hiding in plain sight at flea markets, some decades old, still functional, and ready to use. From military grade tools to forgotten barter gold, you'll see exactly what to grab before the next shortage hits. And here's the real question. Have you already noticed shortages, price hikes, or empty shelves in your area? Drop it in the comments, because what you're seeing might be the first sign. Trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. Item 1, manual can openers, especially military style. When the lights go out, your electric can opener is done. Finished, useless. It won't open a single can of beans, soup, or peaches. But a manual can opener, that's your new best friend, and not just any kind. We're talking about the tiny, tough, military style ones. You've probably seen them. They're small, made of metal, and look like they survived a war. Because they did. These little guys were used by soldiers in Vietnam, Korea, even Wabutu, and some of them still work today. That's how tough they are. The most common ones are called P-38 and P-51. Don't let the name fool you. They're not fighter jets. They're can openers. The P-38 is smaller, the P-51 a bit longer. Both fit on a keychain. You can toss 10 of them in your bug-out bag and not even notice. But when you're hungry and the power's been out for days, you'll notice. They're easy to use. Just hook the sharp end into the can lid, crank the little handle, and spin it around. Takes a minute, but it works every time. No batteries, no charging, just you, your hand, and dinner, and get this, they can open bottles too. Pop the top off a soda, a beer, whatever. They're like the Swiss Army knife of opening things. Found a can of peaches from 1985 at a flea market. Open it. Kid left their juice box sealed? You've got it. They're cheap too. Most flea markets have them for $1 or $2, sometimes even 50 cents. And if it breaks, buy another. They're everywhere, but they rarely break. That's the whole point. They were built to last. So next time you're walking past a bin of old army gear, don't skip the little metal thing on a ring. That's not junk, that's survival. Item 2, cast iron cookware. You've seen it at every flea market, that heavy black pan covered in dust, sitting next to a broken toaster and a stack of VHS tapes. Most people walk right past it, but not you. Not anymore. That's not just a pan, that's a survival kitchen. Cast iron cookware is one of the most underrated prepper finds out there. And the best part? It lasts longer than your house. Think about it. When the power's gone, your fancy non-stick pan is useless unless you've got a camping stove. But cast iron, you can cook on a fire, a wood stove, a grill, even a pile of hot rocks if you're really into drama. It heats evenly, holds heat like a boss, and makes the best sear on anything you throw in it. Steak, eggs, beans, pancakes, it doesn't care. It's ready. And condition doesn't matter as much as you think. Rust, you can scrub that off. Sticky residue, burn it off, a little elbow grease and some oil, and that old pan looks brand new. Most vintage cast iron is from brands like Wagner or Griswold, way better than most stuff you'll find in stores today. Plus, it's barter gold. In a long-term crisis, people will trade food, ammo, even tools for a good cast iron skillet. It's durable, multi-use, and everyone needs to eat. You're not just buying a pan, you're buying peace of mind, and maybe a few extra cans of tuna in a trade. So next time you see one at a flea market, even if it looks like it came out of a barn fire, pick it up. Test the handle, make sure it's not cracked. If it feels solid, grab it. At $5 or $10, it's not just a deal, it's a steal. Item 3, hand crank radios with USB charging. You're sitting in your house, no power, no internet, no cell signal, you have no idea what's going on outside. Is the storm over? Did the grid go down? Is someone coming to help? That's when a hand crank radio earns its keep. It's not just a gadget, it's your lifeline, and you can often find one at a flea market for less than $10. These radios don't need batteries or an outlet. You just turn the little handle for a minute or two, and boom, power. Most of them pick up AM/FM stations, and more importantly, NOAA weather channels. That means you'll hear storm alerts, emergency broadcasts, and official updates when everything else is dark. Look for ones that also have a USB port. That's the real prize. Crank for a few minutes and you can charge your phone just enough to send a text or check a map. It won't give you a full charge, but it might give you the one you need. They're usually small, made of tough plastic, and built to survive drops, rain, and bad decisions. Some even come with a built-in flashlight or a little LED reading light, perfect for late-night panic journaling. And yes, some of them are old, but as long as the gears turn and the dial works, they're good to go. Test the crank if you can, make sure it's not stripped, check for cracks or missing parts, but don't overthink it. If it looks solid and the price is right, grab it. These radios were made for times when everything goes wrong, and at a flea market, they're often treated like junk. But in your bug out bag, they're pure gold, simple, reliable, and ready when you are. Item 4, leather work gloves. You ever tried chopping wood, building a shelter, or pulling a stuck generator out of the mud with bare hands? Yeah, your palms are screaming just thinking about it. That's why a solid pair of leather work gloves is a must-have, and a flea market is one of the best places to find them. We're not talking about the flimsy gloves from the dollar store that tear after one use. We're talking about the thick, heavy-duty kind made from real leather, the kind that looks like it was worn by a railroad worker in 1955. Those gloves are tough. They protect your hands from blisters, cuts, heat, and cold, and the best ones only get better with age. Most of them were built to last. Oil-tanned leather resists water and won't stiffen up the first time it rains. The stitching is strong, the palms are reinforced, and they fit snug without cutting off circulation. Some even have gauntlet-style cuffs that go up your forearm, perfect for handling thorny brush or hot metal. At a flea market, you'll often find them in bins of old tools or work gear. They might be dusty, a little stiff, or smell like old barn, but that's character. A quick wipe with a damp cloth and a little leather conditioner, and they're ready to work. And let's be real, they make you look like you know what you're doing. You don't have to say a word. Just show up with your cast iron pan, hand crank radio, and a pair of beat up leather gloves, and people will assume you're the one to follow when things go sideways. Plus, if you ever need to trade, gloves like these are valuable. People always need hand protection. In a crisis, warm, tough gloves could be worth a meal or a place near the fire, so don't skip them. Pick up a pair or two, one for work, one for backup. Your hands will thank you later. Item 5, vintage axes and hatchets. An axe isn't just a tool, it's a statement. It says, I'm ready. And at a flea market, you might find one that's been ready since the 1940s. Vintage axes and hatchets are everywhere, leaning against tables, buried in bins of old hardware, or hanging on a rusty nail. Most people walk by. But you know what that thing can do. Look for full tang construction. That means the metal runs all the way through the handle. No wobbling, no snapping, just solid steel. Brands like Council Tool, Collins, or Plum are gold standards. Even old Boy Scout hatchets can be great. They're in good shape. Check the head. Is it tight? Is the blade sharp, or can it be sharpened? Avoid ones with deep rust cracks or a loose handle. The wood handles might look rough, but that's normal. A little sanding, some linseed oil, and they come back to life. And unlike modern plastic or fiberglass handles, wood absorbs shock better and feels right in your hand. You can use it for chopping firewood, breaking into a stubborn crate, or building a shelter. It's also a solid backup for self-defense. Not that we're planning for that, but hey, prepared is prepared. And in a long-term crisis, a good hatchet becomes barter fuel. Someone will trade food, fuel, or tools for a reliable cutting tool. It's one of the oldest tools in human history for a reason. Best part? You're not paying $80. You're paying $15 or $20, oh, sometimes less. If it needs a sharpen, that's fine. You'll do it yourself. That's part of the fun. So keep your eyes open. That dusty little axe in the corner, it's not junk. It's power. And it's waiting for you. Item 6, metal flashlights. You've seen them. Heavy, all-metal flashlights that feel like they could survive a fall from space. They're not flashy. No blinding strobes or 500 modes, but that's the point. These old-school metal flashlights are built to work when everything else fails, and at a flea market you can grab one for a few bucks. Most of them run on standard D-cell batteries, the kind you can find anywhere. Even in a crisis, you might scavenge a working battery, and because they use simple incandescent bulbs, you don't need a special charger or USB cable. Just twist in a new bulb if it burns out. Easy. These flashlights don't die after a year like cheap plastic ones. Drop it, it'll bounce. Step on it, still works. Leave it in your bug out bag for 5 years. Pull it out, pop in fresh batteries, and it'll light up like nothing happened. That kind of reliability is priceless when you're in the dark. Literally. Look for brands like Maglite, older models, Every, or even military surplus. The all-aluminum ones are lighter, the steel ones are tougher. Either way, check that the switch clicks smoothly and the lens isn't cracked. Make sure the reflector inside isn't rusted out. If it looks solid, it probably is. And here's a bonus. In a pinch, It makes a decent self-defense tool, not that we're encouraging that. But if you're alone at night and something's rustling in the bushes, a heavy metal flashlight feels a lot better in your hand than a phone. They're not the brightest by today's LED standards, but they're steady, dependable, and won't quit on you. In a world full of gadgets that need charging, a simple metal flashlight is a quiet hero. And at a flea market, it's usually hiding in plain sight, under a pile of old cables and forgotten electronics. Don't walk past it. Pick it up, test the beam, take it home. Item 7. Canvas tarps and military duck blankets. You never know how much you need a tarp until it's pouring rain and you're trying to keep your gear dry with a trash bag and hope. That's when a heavy-duty canvas tarp becomes worth its weight in beans. And at flea markets, you can often find them folded in a corner, ignored, or tossed over a stack of old tires. Don't make the mistake of walking by. These tarps aren't the flimsy blue poly ones from the hardware store. We're talking thick, water-resistant canvas. The kind used by the military, farmers, and truckers. They're tough, they don't tear easily. And when treated with oil or waterproofing, they shed rain like a duck's back. You can use them as a shelter, a ground cover, a windbreak, or even a makeshift roof for a lean-to. Look for grommets around the edges. Solid metal ones, not plastic. That way, you can tie it down tight, even in strong wind. Sizes vary, so grab one that's at least 8 by 10 if you can. Fold it up, store it in your car or bug-out bag, and you're ready for anything. And then there are the military duck blankets. Not actual ducks. Duck refers to the tightly woven cotton fabric. These heavy wool blankets were issued to soldiers for decades. They're thick and can handle being wet without losing all their heat. Unlike modern fleece, they don't fall apart after 2 washes. Even if they're a little musty or stained, a quick wash and air dry brings them back. Some even have brass snaps or loops for linking them together. 2 blankets equals a double-layer bed. 3 equals a cozy nest in a cold bunker. Both tarps and duck blankets are low-cost, high-value items. You'll pay $5 to $20, not $100. And in a real crisis, people will trade for these. Warmth and dryness are basic human needs. When stores are closed, your old tarp and wool blanket might be the most valuable things you own. Item 8. Vintage canned goods. You're walking through the flea market and you see a box labeled Old Canned Goods, $1 each. Most people laugh, some cringe, but you stop. Because while you're not planning to eat a 40-year-old can of peas, that can is still valuable, maybe more than you think. Vintage canned goods, things like beans, fruit, soup, or meat from the 70s, 80s, or even earlier, are often in perfect condition. If the seal is intact, the can isn't bulging, rusted through, or leaking, the contents are likely still sealed and safe. Now, I'm not saying open it and have a snack, but in a long-term crisis, these cans become instant barter items. Think about it. When stores are empty, people panic, but you walk in with a can of peaches from 1978, still sealed, label intact, looking like a museum piece. That's not just food, it's rare, it's trustworthy. It shows you're prepared. Someone might trade ammo, fuel, or medicine for it, or at least a hot meal and a place by the fire. Plus, they're great for display. Keep a few in your pantry as part of your emergency stockpile rotation. They remind you to check your supplies. And honestly, they impress guests. Oh, these? Just some vintage survival snacks? Look for brands like Libby's, Del Monte, or military surplus MRE cans. Tin lids, no dents, no corrosion. If the label's faded, that's fine. As long as the can's solid, it holds value. And let's not forget, some of these were made before modern preservatives. Simple ingredients, real food, that alone makes them interesting. So don't dismiss old cans as junk. They're not trash. They're trade gold, conversation starters, and a reminder that sometimes the oldest stuff is the most useful. Item 9, manual grain mills. Imagine this. The grocery stores are empty, no bread, no flour, but you've got a bucket of wheat stored in your garage. Now what? You can't eat it raw. That's where a manual grain mill comes in. And guess what? You can often find one at a flea market for half the price of a new one, sometimes even less than $20. These old mills aren't electric. They don't need power, just your hands and a little elbow grease. You pour whole grains, wheat, corn, oats, barley, into the top, turn the handle, and out comes fresh flour. Not dusty prepackaged stuff from a box. Real flour. You control the grind. Coarse for cornbread, fine for pancakes. Look for cast iron models like the Corona, XL, or Atlas. They're heavy, yes, but that's what makes them last. The metal gears don't strip. The burrs stay sharp for years. Some even clamp to a table so they don't jump around while you're cranking. And condition doesn't have to be perfect. If it's rusty, clean it. If it's dirty, scrub it out. As long as the mechanism turns and the grind plates aren't cracked, it'll work. a little oil on the gears, and you're in business. Why does this matter? Because in a long-term crisis, carbs are energy and flour is life. Being able to make bread means your family stays fed, warm, and sane. Plus, fresh flour tastes better than anything from a shelf. And let's talk barter. Not everyone has a grain mill, but everyone needs food. You could trade flour for eggs, sugar, or even help with chores. Grind your wheat? Sure, I'll take 2 eggs and a jar of honey. So when you see that bulky old machine covered in dust, don't walk past it. Lift the lid, turn the handle. If it moves, it's worth a look. That's not just an old appliance. It's a food factory. And in tough times, that's power. Item 10, stainless steel water bottles. You've seen them. Old, dented, shiny metal bottles with a cap on top, sitting in a bin of kitchen junk. No brand, no logo, just simple, solid metal. Most people pass them by, thinking they're outdated. But you know better. That's not trash. That's a survival tool hiding in plain sight. We're talking about vintage stainless steel water bottles. The kind made before plastic took over. These things are tough. Drop it, no crack. Step on it, still holds water. Leave it in the sun, doesn't melt or leach chemicals. Stainless steel doesn't degrade, doesn't absorb smells, and can handle hot or cold liquids without a problem. In a crisis, clean water is everything, and being able to carry it safely matters. Plastic bottles break, get chewed by animals, or fall apart after a few months. But a real metal bottle, it'll last for decades. Some of these old ones even have insulation, double-walled, so your water stays cold in summer, warm in winter. Look for ones with a screw-top lid, preferably metal, not plastic. Check for dents, but don't worry too much. Small dents don't affect function. Avoid ones with deep rust inside, though. That's a no-go. Most just need a good scrub with baking soda and vinegar to shine up like new. And here's the bonus, they're perfect for boiling water. You can put one directly on a campfire or stove to purify water or heat it for coffee. Try that with a plastic Nalgene. Spoiler, it melts. Plus, they look cool. You walk into a campsite with a beat-up 1960s steel bottle and people assume you know what you're doing. And in a barter situation, someone might trade a clean sock or a spoonful of coffee for one. Not joking. So next time you see one at a flea market, especially in a military surplus bin or old camping gear pile, pick it up. Test the lid, shake it for leaks. If it's solid, grab it. At $3 or $5, it's not just cheap, it's smart. And in a world where everything's disposable, a real metal bottle is a small act of rebellion. Item 11. First aid tins, especially metal. As you browse an old kitchen box, you spot a small dented metal box with first aid on the side. It may be red, it may be green, perhaps dust covers it. Many open it, find it empty or full of rubbish, and throw it away. But you grin. You're not buying the content. Purchase the container. Metal first aid canisters are prepper's gold. They're durable, waterproof, and ideal for emergency medical supply organization. These ancient tins resist the cold and sun better than plastic bins. Seals securely, stacks nicely, and looks serious. One opens to expose bandages, antiseptic, and painkillers ready to use. Look for sturdy steel or tin with a secure lid. Some feature interior trays or divisions for medications, tapes, or small tools. Military-style ones are built to withstand hard situations. What about rust? No issue. A little steel, wool, and oil can revive it. If label faded, even better. You don't want anyone to see inside. Use it beyond medicine. Fire starters, fishing gear, survival seeds, and currency should be stored. It fits in a backpack, glove compartment, or bug-out bag due to its compact size. In a crisis, a well-organized first aid pack demonstrates preparedness. Trust is built. Can you help? My kids slice their hand. You grab a clean, solid metal tin and become the medic. Tins like these cost $2, $5, or even part of a junk drawer lot at flea markets. They're worth more when the power's out and someone's bleeding. Do not skip the metal box, not garbage, ready in a compact, rust-resistant casing. Item 12, old medicine bottles. Small glass bottles with cork stoppers or metal lids appear on a table of kitchen rubbish and ancient knickknacks. Some feature faded aspirin or tincture labels, while others are straightforward. They're normally ignored as decor. You know better. Survival prep bottles are hidden in plain sight. Glass doesn't degrade like plastic. When stored in heat or sunlight, it doesn't leach chemicals. Old prescription bottles are perfect for storing little amounts of herbs, salts, homemade cures, and purified water. For relaxing tea, fill one with dried lavender. DIY filters use crushed charcoal from another source. Need to bring a little water treatment iodine? This is your bottle. Look for corks or metal closures that seal well. Seals keep moisture and air out. Minor scratches are fine, but avoid fractured glass or bottles with chipped rims. Use them after washing with hot water and vinegar and drying. They also barter well. In a long-term disaster, containers are as important as supplies. Clean glass bottles with good lids are reusable, reliable, and rare when stores are empty. They look cool. Prepper apothecaries are made by lining them up on a shelf and penning the labels. This is for pain, one for bravery. This is salt, but shh. Flea markets sell these bottles for $1 or less. Some sellers give them with larger orders, so grab a handful. No need for a reason, just know that your pocket glass bottle could cause turmoil or peace in SHTF. Item 13, reusable coffee filters, cloth or metal. A small mesh basket filter or a folded brown cloth in a vintage kitchen bin. Catch your eye when you're at the flea market drinking instant coffee from a paper cup. People mostly pass. Who uses that now? They think. But you? Pick it up. In a long-term catastrophe, this small item could save your sanity and supply budget. Reusable coffee filters like your grandparents'. No paper, no waste, simply rinse, dry, and reuse. Making coffee without paper filters is a subtle superpower in a world with closed businesses and insufficient supply. Cloth filters are usually flannel or tightly woven cotton. They work with most drip coffee makers in jars with rubber bands. Pour boiling water over grinds and make coffee. It's ready for tomorrow after a soapy wash and drying. Tougher metal ones are created of fine stainless steel mesh. They don't tear, endure forever, and add richness to your coffee by letting a little natural oil through. Common basket sizes are 8-cup. Check textile filters for stains or holes, and metal ones for bends or rust. Even worn ones can be revived with a good wash. Why does it matter? When the power goes out and you live off canned beans and rainfall, coffee is comfort. It's normal. Hope in a mug. What about bartering? Some will trade sugar, creamer, or a meal for a clean, reusable filter. Avoid skipping the fabric square or mesh basket. Not old-fashioned. It's future-proof. Item 14. Vintage water filters. As you browse ancient camping gear, you see a tall, plastic-looking apparatus with 2 chambers and black filter rods. Very dusty, maybe a knob missing. The brand Berkey stands out. Survivor, Preparedness, something similar. Most folks pass it as broken or outdated. You stop. Even if it's ancient, it could be the day's best find. Antique gravity-fed water filters are gold for preppers. They need no power. Fill the top with dirty water and wait for clean water to drop out. That technology saves lives when taps run dry or water sources are dangerous. If you discover one with sealed, unused filter elements, jackpot. Even with outdated filters, the housing may be fine. Cleaning it and replacing the filters, many newer cores fit older models, gives you a completely functional system for a fraction of retail pricing. Red signs include fractures, warping, and damaged spigots. Just minor scrapes or faded labels? No issue. Test the spigot if possible. Check its opening and closing. These units are commonly found in flea market estate auctions or camping sections. Many sell them because they don't recognize their value or want space. Pay $20 instead of $300. Not lucky. Smart preparation. Clean water isn't a luxury, is survival. A functional filter lets one person drink, cook, and stay healthy for months. Over time, individuals will trade food, fuel, or labor for purified water. Don't discard that old dual tank system behind a tarp. Check it. Ask queries. Negotiate, not simply a dusty antique. That's plastic piece. Items 15, pocket and vintage knives. A little handle, possibly bone or wood, with a shiny blade catches your eye as you pass a table full of antique tools, watches, and rusting trash. Pick it up. Feels solid. Rightly heavy, a delightful click unlocks the blade, not simply a knife. This $5 survival item is vital. Vintage and pocket knives are preppers' best flea market treasures. They're reliable, not antiques, though some are. A good 1940s or 1970s knife can outlast 10 poor current ones. Case, Buck, Camillus, and classic Swiss Army models used high-quality steel and craftsmanship. Look for sharp blades, no hinge fractures or wobbling, and strong handles without chips or rust. If it's boring, no issue. Sharpen it. The prep life includes it. With a simple tune-up, it can cut rope, cook, open packages, and defend itself if necessary. Good knives make fast barter currency in emergencies. Need firewood? Need generator repair? Just give me 2 cans of soup. Please take this knife. Better than what you have. They're also compact. You can keep one in your pocket, glove box, or backpack daily. Lifelong, not just for emergencies. People sell them cheaply at flea fairs since they don't recognize their value, or they consider them rubbish. You know the truth. That tiny knife in your hand, not only metal and wood, is freedom. A function. You'll use it most when the world works and when it doesn't. Item 16, candles, mostly beeswax or tallow. Flipping through an old cookware box, you find a few thick candles in tin cans or glass jars. Dusty, possibly damaged. Labels say beeswax or are blank. Most people dismiss them as pantry forgottens. You pause, because candles vary, and these are unique. Emergency illumination is best with beeswax and tallow candles. They burn longer, cleaner, and without hazardous fumes than dollar store paraffin candles. Beeswax candles emit negative ions that filter the air, which is great for long stays indoors. Animal fat tallow candles have been used for ages and can endure for years if stored properly. Flea markets may have vintage church candles, military surplus, or handmade tins from decades before. Good if the wax isn't broken or melted and the wick is intact. Candles can endure 20, 30, or 50 years if preserved properly. Not exaggerated. That's readiness. Burn time important. A little beeswax candle provides 8 to 10 hours of mellow, steady light. No flashlight flashing from low batteries. Charging unnecessary. Burning a match provides warmth, light, and tranquility in a crisis. Remember the container. Used metal or glass jars can be used for storage, cooking, or candle making. Nothing is wasted. Candles are barter gold in long-term emergencies. People trade for clean, safe light. One beeswax candle for a spoonful of sugar. Crazy now? Let the power outage last a week, so don't ignore the corner candle and dust. Pick it up. Check wax. Beeswax smells like honey, so smell it. If solid, grab it. $2 or $3 buys more than light. Buy hours of peace while all is dark. Item 17, solar garden lights. Small metal or plastic lights on posts with a tiny solar panel are prevalent at flea fairs. They're frequently with outside rubbish, old pots, and broken rakes. Most disregard them. Useless, they say. They don't even work anymore. You grin, since you're not buying them for yard lighting. Buying them for components makes all the difference. Survival-grade solar garden lights have a small solar panel, a rechargeable battery, typically NiCad or NIMH, and an LED. Everything is waterproof, weatherproof, and runs for hours on a day's charge. The unit may look inexpensive, but those bits are prepper gold. Remove the solar panel, connect it to charge tiny devices, power a DIY emergency light, or run a low draw alert. Those batteries, backup power for flashlights, radios, and DIY gear. The LEDs, bright, effective, and long-lasting illumination for your bug-out pack or shelter. You don't need them to work to buy them. Many can revive with a new battery or solar panel. Buy a few, strip them down, and build an off-grid lighting system for $1 or $2 a piece. Even a working yard light can help in a disaster. Put one outside your tent or door for safety. Use it as a night light to avoid tripping over gear, or exchange a working one for soap, matches, or coffee. Next time you see a bin of junk solar lights, stay. Dig in, take 5 or 10. They're not decorations. Small power stations ready to be repurposed. Even a modest light can give hope in a world without electricity. Item 18, empty metal ammo cans. As you go through the flea market, you see a sturdy green metal box with a rubber seal and firm latch. The side says .30 Tal, or 5.56. Despite its dent and faded paint, the lid closes with a satisfying clunk. People mostly pass. Some believe it's for gun owners. You know better, not simply an ammo can. A survival storage miracle. Wartime metal ammo cans survive truck drops, dirt, and rain. They're durable, waterproof, and rodent-proof. Even empty, especially empty, it's worth grabbing, because you're buying a near-perfect storage container. Store emergency supplies like batteries, flashlights, first aid kits, and fire starters. Store it in your car, cellar, or bug out. For years, the rubber gasket shuts out moisture and keeps everything within dry and safe. They also stack well. Line up a few, call them food, tools, docks, and you have a tidy survivalist system. No more cold, cracking rubbish drawers or plastic boxes. And in a crisis, these cans attract trade. Trade for food or fuel, add a few essentials, close the lid, and you have a survival kit. Consider keeping it simple. The can is valuable. People require safe storage. You got it. Best part, they're normally $5, $10, or free if you ask. They appear frequently at estate sales and military surplus tables. So don't ignore that dusty green box, not just for bullets, to get beans, batteries, bandages, and peace of mind. In a world of plastic, a metal ammo can is reliable. Item 19, old maps and compasses. A folded 1970s paper map depicting still existing towns and highways is found in a box of old books and tourist brochures. A little metal compass with a hazy dome and faded markings was next to it. Most wouldn't look again. Who uses maps now, they say. But you put them in your pocket. If the grid goes down, this paper and metal may be worth more than your phone. GPS needs satellites, phones need power. But a paper map and functional compass? Working forever. no signal, no Wi-Fi, not charged, just you, your brain, and the ability to move from A to B when everything fails. Search for topographic maps featuring elevation lines, rivers, trails, and terrain information. Great for hiking, bugging out, and locating water in the outdoors. State park maps, military surplus charts, and antique highway atlases are good finds. Land remains unchanged despite road changes. Rivers flow, mountains remain. Orienteering compasses should feature a revolving bezel, a clear base plate, and a free-moving needle. Rust? Clean it. Sticky liquid? Perhaps it will work. Try it against a known direction like north on your phone before trusting it, but don't disregard it. Your $3 compass could save you from getting lost in the woods. These are rare in emergencies. Most individuals can't read maps. If you have the tools, you become the navigator, leader. People follow. These lightweight, storable items are ideal for bartering. Working compass alone could buy food, fuel, or protection. Don't pass up antique maps or dusty compasses at flea markets. Pick them up. Carefully fold them, take home, because that paper could be your sole hope of escaping permanent loss. 20. Salt, coffee, lighters, sewing kits for barter. It's not always about gear in flea markets. Sometimes you need cash. In a real catastrophe, money may not matter. Salt will. Coffee does. A functional lighter, basically gold. These simple, commonplace items become powerful when stores close and supplies run low. Flea markets have them hiding in plain sight. Start with salt, real salt in cardboard or glass cylinders. Not gourmet sea salt, basic iodized. Health, food preservation, and wound cleaning depend on it. People exchange for it because electrolytes are essential to life. Coffee, especially instant or vacuum sealed, boosts mood. Coffee soothes nerves in a chaotic environment. There's comfort. It's normal, it's lightweight and non-perishable, making it easy to keep and trade. Vintage metal Zippo-style lighters are firepower. Heat, cooking, and signaling can start with one spark. Even with dead flint, the casing may work with cleaning. In barter, one working lighter for a can of meat is fair. Sewing kits are unsung heroes. Need to mend clothes, fix a bag, or suture a wound? A compact metal box with thread, needles, and buttons is useful. Most people ignore them, but gear repair is essential for long-term survival. Look for unopened kits, salt, or coffee with unbroken seals. Old but dry and clean ones are still usable. Buy a handful, put them in your bug-out bag or pantry, and don't tell anyone. So you're not only ready when the moment comes, you can trade something for safety, shelter, or a second opportunity. Item 21. Lockboxes and old safes. Walking through the flea market, you spot it. A little heavy metal box with a corroded dial or broken keyhole. It sits on a table with tools and forgotten garbage. The seller may not know its value. Most people ignore it as scrap. But you lift, feel weight, see inside, because it's not trash. This is safety. Even broken lockboxes and safes are survival gold. Why? Because emergencies need protecting what counts. Cash, documents, medicine, ammo. A simple metal box with a lock gives you security in a shaky situation. Box is functional even if combo is lost or lock is jammed. Replace the lock or add a padlock after drilling it open. It can also be used to hide stockpile. Store emergency USB drives, cash, and keys in foam-lined containers. Bury it under a floorboard, or keep it in your car. It should be thick steel with no big dents or rust holes. Fireproof models are nice. Old bank, business, and home safes contain insulation to protect paper from heat. That protects your will, IDs, and maps in a fire. What about bartering? A functional lockbox is rare. People trade for safe storage. I'll give you food for a safe place to keep my gear. Value. Best part? Flea markets sell cheap crates. $10, $20, sometimes free. Since most don't recognize the possibilities, yet you do. So don't ignore that dusty, neglected box in the corner. Not broken. It awaits, waiting to protect your most valuables when the world ceases being fair. That can be the most effective preparation. You've seen them at every US and Canadian flea market. Quiet survivors. Not showy, low-tech, simple, durable, utilitarian goods that work when you need them. From a $2 hand crank can opener to a discarded ammunition can with potential, these aren't old. They're tools, safety nets, and sometimes the difference between terror and calm. Not all prep is pricey. No warehouse or survival gear-filled credit card needed. Knowing what to look for and being able to see it can help. The silent heroes of disaster readiness are a cast iron pan, a metal lantern, and a salt box. The best part? They're everywhere. These objects wait for attention under tarps and folding tables in parking lots and fairgrounds every weekend. Someone like you. Not everything needs to be bought. Start with one thing. One knife, one tarp, a water bottle. Increase it gradually. test it, learn it, trust it. It won't be the most costly gear that saves you when the power goes out, the roads close, or the shelves empty. The stuff you found, mended, and prepared. Keep an eye out, bring cash, ask queries, haggle slightly, never pass something useful, even if it's dusty. Because readiness isn't scary. About freedom. Freedom to keep calm, safe, and in control no matter what. If you found this video helpful, and you're ready to start spotting these gems at your local flea market, smash that like button. It helps more than you think, and it tells YouTube, hey, this is useful stuff. Drop a comment below and let me know. What's the most unexpected thing you've ever found at a flea market? Was it a hidden survival tool, a weird antique, or something so strange you still can't explain it? I read every single comment, and I love hearing your stories. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell, because next week I'm showing you exactly how to haggle like a pro, so you can walk away with that vintage axe, radio, or ammo can for half the price. No drama, no awkwardness, just smart, confident negotiating. Thanks for watching, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next one.